Namaste and welcome to the sidelines of the Pondy Lit Fest. I am delighted and honored to be in conversation with Malini ji.
Okay. Namaskar, namaskar.
So Malini ji, of course, we know about your wonderful career and we're looking forward to listening to you this evening.
Thank you. Me too.
Yes.
Looking forward to the evening
Wonderful.
today. Yes.
So I'm always curious about the moment when an artist first discovers that their gift is music. And I believe that happened for you quite early. So can you tell us a little bit about how and when that happened for you?
Happened very early, and my parents initiated me into music, and this comes as a surprise as they were not into music. Nobody was a singer in our family, but they were passionate listeners. They appreciated good music. So I grew up in a house where we woke up with the morning prayers, Aradhana, the normal Indian household.
Yes.
And they realized, I think they saw the potential at a very young age. I was lucky that they initiated my classical training very early. I was hardly 5 to 6 years.
Wow.
So rest, I would just say I went on learning, and my father was in a transferable job, and later when I married, my husband was in a transferable job. It's slightly difficult to continue with that, because the place changes, your guru changes, and everybody has a different style. But I fought it all, and here I am. So all I can say is all thanks to my parents, and then my amazing, wonderful gurus who taught me more than music, I would say, Priyanka. And in Hindustani classical, or I would say Indian Guru Shishya Parampara, you take art beyond just the Guru Shishya, the lessons that you take. I try to absorb them, their goodness and their persona, their way of looking at life. That has further enriched me, I would say.
So as you mentioned, Malini ji, you've had a very rich and diverse training in your career with several legends under which you trained, and many different genres as well. A very, very impressive and inspiring repertoire. Dadra, Thumri, Hori, Chaiti, and it's a long list. So many believe that to really do justice to a certain genre, one must practice only that one tradition, if possible under one guru, to really be faithful to its purity and take it to as far as possible. So how do you hold such diversity?
I'm very happy. That's a very, very valid and a good question, and this is a question that everybody has on their minds. Even speaking of Hindustani music, people are very, very rigid, and not only rigid, they follow the gharana and the traditional pattern. See, Priyanka, I never had this privilege of learning only from one guru, because I was too young to decide. And as I said in the beginning of the interview, my father moved from one town to the other, and it was difficult to, and without any, I would say, background of music, my parents would not even know how many gharanas there existed in music. So he made the best of that situation, and as a student, as a disciple, as a child, I did that to my potential. In fact, I think it has made me a better singer, maybe better human being also, because a singer has to be free from all biases, from all, one has to be free, take the best of their gurus. So my first guru, in fact, he was from Rampur Gharana, Sahaswan Gharana, Shujat Hussain Khan Sahab. And this was when I was a tiny little child in Gorakhpur. And then after 6 years, I learned from Ustad Rahat Ali Khan Sahab. He was from Lucknow. He had major influence of Lucknow and Awadh in his music, but he belonged to Patiala Gharana. And then I got initiated into Bhatkhande, where I started learning from Banaras Gharana. And then I got married. Again, this was worse because my husband had very small stint in the initial stage, 10 months here, a year there, 2 years there. It was difficult to continue, to stick to one gharana. And there came a time I was really worried whether I will have any future, because without riyaz, without practice, any performing vocalist will lose not only the whatever one has learned. And then I realized my own calling. See, Priyanka, I spent my childhood in Mirzapur and Gorakhpur, that is eastern part of Uttar Pradesh. And so the dialect, the local dialect spoken
Yes.
came very naturally to me. And when, as a child, as a person, I think I have always been a thinking artist. I have always thought about what I am going to sing. I have thought about what my teacher was teaching, and I think this took me to Banaras, because that is what I realized was Pura Banga Gharana that I identified myself with. That is where I thought that this is one Gharana of music which gave equal respect and patronage to all form of music, whether be it Dhumar, Drupad, Tarana, Sadra, Khayal, Tappa, Tumri, Dadra, Holi, Kajri, Chaiti. So they were very respectful to even the subsidiary allied forms of music also. And so that is it. I would say even today with the, how YouTube has become popular, it's become difficult for gurus to ask the disciples also to stick one gharana, because they will be exposed to all wonderful music, and they are beautiful singers singing from every tradition. So I think initially there was a time when the Guru Shishya Parampara had the influence only of Guru and the teachers or the disciples who came from that school of music. Then it made a sense. But today, I think given the kind of life I have led, I think I'm more happy about learning whatever I can. Now my Guru Shujat Sahab, it's very interesting, he's no more, my Ustad, but then Rashid Khan Sahab, the legendary Padma Vibhushan now from Kolkata, he, in fact, I'll sit with him and we discuss similar bandishein, because I have learned them initially. It's very interesting. And I learned ghazals and also Thumri, Dadra from my second Guru. And this is why my Urdu and diction, I can sing in Farsi, also Persian. So, and then when I went to Appaji, my Guru Girja Devi ji, I learned Thumri, Dadra, everything. And what I perform as folk, that I haven't learned from my gurus. That is something that I have, that was my own study, you can say, my own research, that I have tried to dig deep into our traditions, or folk traditions, and try to understand them, and then make our audience understand that all the other forms of music are fine, but this is what us, this is us.
Yes. Yeah, that's beautiful what you said. And Malini, of course, has done phenomenal work in preserving and nurturing the musical oral traditions of Bharat.
Yes.
So, and for that and her sublime voice, of course, she has been awarded the Padma Shri.
Yes.
So that's, we're all very grateful for all that wonderful work that
all
you're
Guru's
doing.
blessings and my parents.
Yes. So your parents, Malini, since you mentioned that, there's still a very prevalent narrative that music and art is sort of an extracurricular activity that it's fine that one learns it, but to the side. But it's really, these are the mediums that really refine our sensibilities, bring us closer to nature and our own nature.
Correct.
So do you see, we're also celebrating 75 years of India.
Yes.
Do you see music, art taking a more central position in education?
See, when I was growing up, and I'm older than you, so I'm talking of 70s, so I'm talking of 70s, which means I'm talking about how many, 50 years back. So when I was growing, those were the days when, music or any art form could not have been considered as a permanent or alternate career for any woman. And even regarding men, it was really criticized or looked down upon, and people were not really happy about sons taking this. So if this happened with the boys, you can imagine how it was looked about for the girls. But as I said, my parents were very broad-minded, so I was encouraged to look at the finer aspect and brighter aspect. And then when your parents make way for you, you also learn to, build up a vision where you learn how music is making you a better person. What is that is nurturing you while learning from your guru. I think I as a human being became a better person. I think when you learn music, or we are here in Pondicherry, I remember every Tamilian family, South Indian family, mandatory for every daughter to learn Bharatanatyam.
That's very true.
Right? So the upbringing, the sensitivity, will be different from other children. So I think it definitely makes you a more evolved person. And art and culture, today of course, talking about 70s and today 2022, as we celebrate 75th anniversary, we are into wonderful times for women, I would say. And art and culture has not only grown prominence, I am very happy that we are part of an era now that there is a debate going on the need to understand the role of culture in our not only freedom movement, but also into preserving us what we are. I always say that the stories that we know of us, India, has been depicted by art, by the temples, by the storytelling of artists. How else do you think we know us? It's only the art. So I'm very happy that now we are talking about it. So I see very, very positive times, wonderful times for young girls to take this. When people say that take music as a career, I know it sounds very weird and funny, because in India music is, the ultimate object to sing and to learn is to seek salvation, right?
It's
moksha,
spiritual
journey. All spiritual. But these are different times. We are living in commercial world, and you get paid to sing. So it's nice to see that social perspective has changed, the narrative has changed. And but there is something sad about I would say, the common perception about an artist, that is somewhere missing. I think we are living in a very instant world with an Insta generation, and music somewhere needs patience. We require patience from our audience, listeners, to appreciate and understand music, to be able to appreciate the artist. So today, if they know they are starstruck, glamour struck, this is she's a Padma Awardee, she's this artist, she did that, then they will come to appreciate. But for a new person, a new artist, a new creator, it's difficult to find way, because they need patience. So what is the mantra? The mantra is that you create something 2 minutes, you create something in 3 minutes which catches attention. It's happening also. We see somebody singing some Shiv Stuti and it becomes viral, somebody doing some puja, or somebody decoding some cultural practice, old practice, and it gets viral. So it proves that people are keen to understand culture and music, but they don't have 2 hours to listen to a raga. That is, so I think it's a duty of us artists also to understand that if this has to go on, we have to find ways to keep it alive, and relevant.
Yes.
I'm telling you.
And as you said, you trained in the classical style, but you were drawn to the folk tradition.
Correct.
So as someone who's so familiar with both, what would you say is really the quintessence of these, both either ends of the musical range?
What are the?
What is the real essence of these? How do they, when you perform or when you sing these two, how do you experience it differently?
See, folk songs are about emoting. They are stories. So if you're telling a story, if you're narrating a story, if you are emoting a pain of a daughter leaving a father's house, or happiness of a farmer seeing the rains, celebrating the rains, then I think that overpowers all other emotions. To me, I'm biased there, I am slightly partial there. And classical is all about inner tranquility, inner peace, about connecting, about timelessness, I would say.
Yes, beautiful.
So they are two different worlds, and I am very blessed. I have also tried to maintain a balance, because when my guru, we have this Ganda Bandhan ceremony, which is a real puja, when the guru acknowledges you publicly, where he is my disciple. So they give you one mantra in person, in private. And the mantra guru asked me was that never leave this tradition. So I perform classical also, and I perform folk also. And with the blessing of God, when I sing that, the classical music, Thumri, Dadra, I become a different person. When I perform folk, I'm a different person. That's the magic of two very diverse. But interesting thing is, which only musicologists will understand, Banaras Gharana is the only Gharana where the both meet.
Yes, like you mentioned, that's what drew you to it.
I do, yes, that.
So you mentioned performing in both these styles, but there's also the riyaz, which is
correct,
really practicing your music in solitude, and the other aspect, which is performing in public. So what would you say is the relation for an artist between these two?
They're very different. When you do sadhana, riyaz is sadhana.
Yes.
And riyaz means that you are not bothered who comes, who goes. You have time with yourself. And the real riyaz also means you are judging yourself, you are listening to yourself. And then there is a guru in front of you who is not there in the physical form, but you are listening, you are singing for him and maybe seeking guidance. It's a very personal space, I would say. But performance is different, because I always say, when you narrate a story, there should be a listener, otherwise there's no point in telling a story.
Correct.
So when you are telling a story and there's a keen audience, I think that's a finer moment. Every artist longs for those moments when, they talk about something, and if you manage to reach out to your audience, they listen to you and they understand, and you can see in their eyes they understand. I think that's the biggest joy of any artist. I would say all hard work, all learning, everything. Like today I'm going to sing, and I have to sing something on Azadi Ke Geet. And I know it's difficult, because the people from all over India, the songs in Hindi dialect, I will try to speak in English and explain to them. Even if half of them understand the story behind those songs, if I'm able to convey those stories, I will be, with all the effort of coming here will be. So for every artist, I think performance is the real test of all that you've learned. Performance is the test of how skilled you are into communication. Because folk is about communication. Classical is not about communication, it's about other communication.
Yes, true. Well, we are very eager to be your audience this evening.
Yes, thank you.
And before we let you go and prepare, one last question, because you mentioned how the environment now is really ripe for women to blossom.
Right.
And I'm really amazed at how many different hats you wear. As of course really a preeminent singer in the country, but you're also involved in various initiatives in nation building.
Yes.
Not to mention you're a mother and a wife, and so how does a woman hold so many different roles, play that many different roles, and do each one really to the best of their ability? I
can't speak about others. I can only talk about myself.
That's what we want to hear.
I can speak about myself, Priyanka. I think as a person, I'm a giver. And unless you are a giver, I think you have to invest in every relationship, in each of your performances. Like I'm giving you this interview, I'm 100% here, nowhere else. So it's about giving. Every relationship, everything you believe in doing. So motherhood, you're being a wife, believing in the work that your husband does, believing, having conviction in your convictions, and then making your children also, because today the job of your being a mother is not only educating them in good schools, it's also about value education, it's also about nurturing values, good values in them. So I have always been very felt very strongly about certain things in life, like nation first has always been I have always grown up to be like this. This is how my father was, this is what I have learned. And I'm so happy my children are like this, because they understand, that, there are things you understand when you grow up. There are things that you just imbibe, learn your parents doing, and this is how you learn. So I think when you are a giver, when you love everything you do, when you are passionate about life, I think everything comes very naturally. To me, the moment I step in my house, my artist, form, I leave it there at the doorsteps and enter. Yes. Because I have always believed my husband is an IS officer, he's a bureaucrat. So I wanted we both husband wife wanted very normal upbringing for our children, where they should respect the fact that mother is an artist, father is an officer, but it shouldn't pressurize them. We are simple mom and dad. So I would rehearse when they would leave to school. And it's tough, so I try to maintain a balance, and I'm so happy that I never ignored music for my children or family. I never ignored my children for music. It was tough. I did, because when they were young, when they needed me, I left everything. I was just studying, trying to understand what is it I want to do. And that was a time when, family needs that cementing, family needs that time. I know today the new generation wants everything right there, right then. But I belong to a generation, my guru used to say, "Dheere, dheere, dheere mana, dheere hi sab hoy. Mali sinche 100 ghada, ritu aaye, tab phal hoy." So, do you understand what I said?
But so, please do translate.
So, have patience, walk slow, because the gardener, he waters 100 pots, and there is a time when the plants will blossom. So I have waited, and I have invested in relationships. So I think there is this, as you said, I have been involved with various activities, various projects. I have been a brand ambassador to the Election Commission. Now I am also working for the Environment and the Forest Ministry there. And there was a time for the literacy mission also. I have that one. So I like it, and I know that, as I said, when people get involved with a mission or with a work to get name, fame or money, then things don't go far. Anything you believe in, just go ahead. And if you believe in it, something out of it will come. So.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
You're
Priyanka.
Very, very inspiring, Malini.
Thank you, Priyanka.
Thank you for sharing so honestly, so spontaneously and beautifully.
Thank you.
And we're really looking forward to listening to you this evening. So we'll let you go now.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.